racing circle.
We'll see a pass here. A deep dive in the brakes. Here comes the 680 to the inside.
By 7 of the second. I can't believe what we just saw.
SCRS Ferrari Challenge has traversed several countries and a continent in its venture towards the end of the season. This week we'll enter our penultimate round, round number 13, at the home for Enzo Ferrari. This track is considered one of the best courses in Italy, and we call it Imola. Welcome to SimTV. My name is Kyle Heyer, joined by Fini DeCuna for round number 13 of SCRS Ferrari Challenge. We're going to take over 25 Ferrari 488 machines back home where they belong. Back home in Italy, where these cars came from, the Rosso Corso Red, off in the distance for some of these cars, but for others, a championship fight. AM versus Pro, Pro versus AM. It's going to come down to 2 final rounds here this week in Italy and next week in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin at Road America. Again, my name is Kyle Heyer, joined by Fini DeCuna. Finian, round number 13, we head to an Italian classic, a site of the Italian GP for many years, and tonight, SCRS Ferrari Challenge.
Yeah, what a fitting track to have a series such as the Ferrari Challenge. Essentially, it's a coming home for a lot of these cars, being back here in Italy. So getting ready to watch this race and watch these guys tackle 3 races around this track. And it's a fairly difficult circuit, Imola, so it's definitely going to put these drivers up to the test.
8 minutes left in qualifying. We've got 3 races on tap this evening, 15 minutes, and 20 minutes. Race 2 will have a 10-driver invert. Race 3 will have a 20-driver invert. This is going to be an interesting race. We've been to Imola before in Ferrari Challenge, Finian, and it's been a while since we visited this racetrack. It's very fast. It's got a whole lot of corners, but of course, this is also a high-risk track as well. There's a lot of places to cut, a lot of places to run wide, pick up a penalty. So tonight, perfection isn't going to win you a race, but it's certainly going to keep you up in the front. So we're going to see how the pros and versus the AMs fare tonight as we head down for qualifying here in just a moment. We'll take a look at the weather. We already had a quick look at it, but 78 degrees ambient, 107 on the track surface, Vinny. That's a little bit toasty.
Indeed it is, and it's going to let these guys just slide around, especially going through the double right-handers in the middle of the track, you know, going back downhill, then back uphill. It's a very tricky section there. You can see right there. This corner especially, I've heard some drivers in practice having trouble with trying to navigate down there. You're braking while you're turning into the corner, and then also getting back on the gas too is going to be especially tricky.
So we got drivers on track for qualifying laps. You'll see the best time that each driver has run on the timing and scoring on the left-hand side of your screen. A driver that's back after a few weeks off, Zach Buchanan in the Project 2 number 40. There he is in the Alpine Stars car, and he has been perhaps one of the most impressive drivers we've seen right out of the gate with his Project 2 Ferrari 488 Fini. And he only joined a couple weeks ago, but since he has at Barcelona, man, he has put on a show. A rookie in the series, but certainly doesn't look like one out there on the racetrack.
Yeah, and again, I'm hoping we see more of him next season because, again, the driver really has a chance of competing for a title. Has shown some really strong pace in his rookie season. Even in practice, too, he immediately jumped up to the 10th. And I believe he said he didn't really have a whole lot of practice here. So looking pretty good so far here as qualifying is just now getting underway as the drivers putting down their first few times.
And we'll see what Buchanan can lay down on his first lap across the start-finish line. It looks like it's going to be a 1:46.6, but I don't think it counted that time through for Buchanan, so he'll have to go again. Oh, it did count. He'll go to 8th on the timing and scoring, so it was a 1:46.633. Carter Kundinger, the current pole sitter as it stands. Zach Hefner in the 51 is second, Kurt Crum in third, and Crum has been a curious case the last couple weeks, Finney. He's been up front competing for race wins, but he's had a lot of competition lately, especially from the 51 of Hefner, who went through a bit of a lull in the mid-season, but now here he is back competing for race wins as he was last week as well at Indianapolis.
Yeah, Rhode Island did not go well for him at all, but even that round aside, he's still running fairly well as far as the points are concerned. He's got 39-point advantage over Kurt Crum with the drops included. So it's really not looking too good for Kurt Crum. He's really has to get some good performances in, and also has to hope that Hefner runs into some trouble here. And if I'm Hefner, he really just needs to make sure he gets to the finish line in a solid position. Doesn't need to do anything too extraordinary to keep this title.
And was heading through Variante Alta. There's a couple places on this track I can see drivers getting in trouble. That is one of them. You run wide there, you'll get yourself a slowdown. You cut the corner, you get yourself a slowdown, as well as on the apex of the final corner. Very easy to cut that when you're trying to find speed around here. So as we exit The final corner, Hefner will come across the line. We'll see if it's an improvement. He needs to beat a 143.672. It'll be a 143.483, which will momentarily put him on top of the board. The other corner that you were talking about earlier, Finney, and look at this one. The the green turf at corner exit, that's a no-go zone. You can't drive on that. You'll get yourself a slowdown.
Yeah, and I've driven here in the past in the Lotus 79. Very tempting to go over that turf, just the way the car lines up for that corner. You almost wish that the track went out as far, but it can definitely take too much green curving if you get a little bit too easy, especially through, as you watch Hefner, that corner there too is another part of the track. You can get too much green turf.
I would try to pronounce some of these corner names, but I don't want to embarrass myself. I do have some Italian heritage, but not enough to know what the heck I'm saying. So I'm going to try to avoid that. I know Villeneuve, of course, Tamburello and Variante Alta, but I'm not going to try to pronounce some of the other corners around this facility. And it's a beautiful track as well. And again, it's a nice day here at Imola, but with drivers trying to find a lot of pace, they're focused on the racetrack. And here's Andrew Mickey, and he's got an updated livery this week with the bright magenta wheels on this car. You know, curious choice, but at least it's fairly quick right now. He's 13th and had a couple struggles the last few weeks with trying to get that car back inside the top 10 as he works his way around. His best time so far at 146.493. And looking at the lap times, Finney, and look how close some of these are up at the front. The top 5 all within 0.7 of a second, but a big drop off from 9th on back.
Yeah, I'm curious to see if we do see that pick up, or at least that gap sort of close in as qualifies concluding, because again, a lot of the guys in the back, it's a fairly difficult track and very easy to get off tracks, and again, that invalidates your qualifying time if you get an off track. So curious to see if any of the other guys are able to get a nice, fast, clean lap in.
So Mickey comes out of Variante Alta, heads down towards the backside of the course into this final couple corner complex here, Finney. And this is a challenging complex because it sets you up for the very, very long front straightaway. If you make a mistake in this corner, it's going to cost you not only a couple tenths, but up to a second if you really mess up this final corner. And Mickey gets right down to the apex. Nice line through there.
Yeah, really nice run. That's exactly the line you want to try to hit going through that corner. You don't want to get too much curb on the apex, and also don't want to get too much curb on exit, as you were saying, it costs you a lot of time.
No pickup there, a 147.1 for Andrew Mickey. At the top of the board, it's still Zach Hefner. Carter Kundinger is second place. Again, a new driver this season, Finney. He's been impressive right from the get-go. Yeah,
absolutely. And again, not in that title fight, currently 4th in the points, trying to chase down Royan, although Royan has a good amount of points on him. So fairly quiet for him. It's just a matter of finishing up the season for this two. But Kundinger, again, a really solid performance from him.
Heading down into the middle sector here. So the best time still a 143.376. So it was a pickup for Hefner. And Kundinger ran a 143.462, which puts him 86 thousandths of a second behind Hefner. Drop on back to Jim Benson, new livery on board the 13 car this week. Kind of a patchwork of colors on this car. He might have run this last week at Indianapolis as well, but really didn't have the best of days there. So looking for a bit of a better start. He's 12th right now with a 145.621.
One notable driver that's very far down the order is the 88 of Eric Mickey, back in 20th.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's up. He hasn't really put in what I would consider a solid lap time yet. And if he's not on a flyer right now, it looks like he is, but he's running out of time. He's got 58 seconds to get back to the start-finish line here, Finney, and that would be a big deal if he has to start all the way at the tail. Taking a look, are we missing the WeatherTech car? Excuse me for not remembering the name here.
Justin Johansen?
Justin Johansen and also Jake Johansen. I think both of them are missing tonight.
Jake is here.
Jake is here. P5. But no Justin by the looks of it. Another new name this week, Elois Lamprek in the number 27. Got some very Italian-looking colors on this car, and taking a look, this is a driver we have not seen, and actually it surprised the administrators earlier. They go, who is this guy? So he's here and running, and so far 18th. He's not quite dead last, but needs to find a little bit of pace if he wants to have a solid run today.
Gotta say, for the default paint scheme, that's a very beautiful car.
It is a beautiful car, and very fitting also. Matches the track quite nicely. So qualifying is complete. It'll be Zach Hefner on pole as he will go to the top of the board, a 143.376. That looks like it's going to do it here as we head into race number 1.
Yeah, and Eric Mickey just jumped up into 10th place at the end of qualifying, so he was able to improve in the time quite a bit.
Just in the nick of time as well. It was almost not going to be the case, but we'll head down to the racetrack. Here's race number 1. And I think it's about time we roll through the starting lineup here, Finian. So on the front row this evening, it's going to be Zach Hefner. Oh, there's an issue there. I'm not going to run that. We're testing a new ticker tonight, so we're going to put that away for now. But I can show you on the left-hand side of the screen. I think we got... There we go. That'll work as we wait for the field to run on down. I warned everybody that there was going to be maybe some things not quite up to snuff because we're testing some new perks and features.
Here's an interesting thing. Jeff Ferrari starting all the way back in 22nd. Didn't put a qualifying time down.
Yeah, he's having internet issues. He's got a big storm going through the area, so I don't think he's actually going to make it in the race at all, unfortunately.
Yeah. That's unfortunate. Yes, he's not in the server.
So waiting for the grid to finish up here, it's going to take another 56 seconds or so. We've got 21 drivers on the grid for our 13th round of the season. 3 races tonight. We'll end all of this next week at Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin's National Park of Speed. That'll be Road America next Thursday at 9 p.m. Tomorrow night, we've got Washington, D.C. region action. That will be from Road Atlanta in Brazelton, Georgia. We've got 2 races on tap, one with GT3s, the other with Volkswagen Jettas and MX-5s. That will be at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow evening. Saturday, Outsider Racing League continues their championship. They'll be headed to the Milwaukee Mile. Sunday afternoon will be the GT Rivals Championship, headed to Mount Panorama, Bathurst for GT Rivals. Monday night, I think we got 3 wide. I don't know where they're going next week, Finian, but it's probably going to be fun.
They are going to, give me 1 second, I can pull it up for you. They're heading to the old version of Charlotte.
All right, so Charlotte, old racing car as they run the national there in that series. So we'll head down to the final complex here under pacing conditions. Again, 15 minutes on the board. That'll be about 9 laps worth of racing. Hefner, Kundinger, Crum, Ost, and that's a good qualifying effort by Christian Ost, by the way. 4th best for him. Then Jake Johansen, Brian Sohn, of course, Penguin RC Simulations, providing excellent sim racing equipment and season-end prizes for drivers in this championship. Check out Penguin RC Simulations website in the description below. Coming through the front straightaway, waiting for the green flag to fly, 21 Ferrari 488s at home here in Imola and Italy. Green flag flies racing in SCRS Ferrari Challenge in round number 13. That scrambled on into turn number 1. So far, so good. Buchanan on the outside. He's chasing Jake Johansen to the inside there through Tamburello there for a moment. Right in front of them, that was the 0-3 of Brian Sohn. He's picked up a spot, but Buchanan takes the momentum around the outside of Rattray. He'll complete that pass. That's for 7th, or make that 6th, as Alois Lamprek has had an issue already. Damage to his car early here, Finian.
Yeah, on the start, interestingly enough, as we try to take a look back at what happened, did he get some help?
Yeah.
He did.
Hit from behind. I think that was Isaac Snyder in the 333. Yeah. So big damage there to that car as they head over the crest of the hill for the first time. Looks like Hefner and Kundinger 1st and 2nd. Then it's Kurt Crum and Christian Ost putting a lot of pressure on the 87 Bombshell Racing Team car.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we were saying how well, Christian Ost has done starting in 4th, trying to make that a podium here as he's trying to get back up into 3rd, following nose to tail through this section.
Accelerating up towards Variante Alta for the first time, Hefner leads Kundinger by 0.4 of a second into the chicane. Up and over the curbs. Do not run wide and get yourself a penalty. So far, everyone line astern. This is a difficult place to race at here, Finian. Pretty tricky to pass, but there are a lot of passing zones. It's just difficult with these cars with ABS. They shorten up the braking zone significantly and make it very difficult to get anything done here.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's what makes it really hard, really challenging, but also at the same time very rewarding to get a pass done here.
So completing lap number 1, Hefner leads the way as they come by pit lane. Alois Lamprek, his night is over before he even started as he came across the start-finish line. And looks... Go ahead.
I was going to say, looking at a battle between Brian Sohn and Zach Buchanan side by side down the front straightaway.
That's well over 160 miles an hour into the braking zone, into the chicane. Buchanan's going to edge ahead, put himself in 5th place. Sohn now has to fall, and he's got Robert Rattray all over his rear wing as they exit Tamburello.
You got to really compromise his exit off the corner. Rattray going to peel out, maybe have a look into Villeneuve, but not going to do it, going to back off.
Watch those, call them bumble strips, those big curbs on the inside, the yellow and black. They are very upsetting to your race car. If you hit those flat enough, they can not only damage your suspension, but also damage your oil pan and any sort of engine underneath low-hanging engine components. So here you see Andrew Mickey leading a battle between Jim Benson and Thomas Cooper in the 584. Good battles back here as we go back up to the race lead. Hefner and Kundinger still nose to tail. That 2-car not laying off right now.
Yeah, he's really starting to catch back up to Hefner and make a move. And even Kurt Crumbs now, he's broken away from Christian Nose, trying to set his sights on these two drivers up ahead of him.
4-car breakaway at the front of the field, 5th place. Zach Buchanan has his rear mirrors full of Brian Sohn and Rattray. Bit of a defensive line into Variante Alta for Buchanan. Nicely done there. He'll pull a small gap on them, as looks like Jake Johansen tried to close back up to 7th and 6th. He started in 5th, but has only gone backwards since the drop of the green flag.
Yeah, it's not been a particularly good start for the race for the 06. We'll see how he can improve here. You see him fly underneath the camera, down into the double left to complete the lap.
Couple minutes in so far, we've seen some good racing towards the front of the field, but how about Brian Chabelski in the midfield with Nicholas Morelli and Drew Lidke behind him in the 21? What has been going on with Drew Lidke lately, Finney? I think I would have expected him to be farther up the road, but we have to jump back to lead because Kundinger all over Hefner as they head down into Tamburello again.
Yeah, you can see Hefner go a little bit defensive, trying to take up the middle of the track. So Kundinger, again, running out of places to go. He's going to have to try to find some corners to set up and get a run. Speaking of which, he's got to run out of this corner down to Villeneuve. He's going to peel out. Does he dive? Looks like he's not. Going to pull back in behind.
This section is so much fun to do. Meanwhile, Zach Buchanan, he's got a slowdown from Tamburello. Has to give up 2 spots. Sohn and Rattray go on through. But a big mistake there by Buchanan. That's going to be a costly one. He'll have to pass. Oh, look at Sohn running wide into the gravel trap. Here comes Rattray up the outside into Tossa. And Buchanan trying to cross him over. Not quite able to get the run here, but 3-car battle for 5th right now as they head up the hill.
Yeah, splendid battle. Looking back at Buchanan, just completely missed the second corner at Tamburello. That's what cost him that slowdown, and it cost him quite a few spots here as well. Nose to tail here. 4 cars back to Johansen, all in a battle for that 5th place spot.
I'm actually surprised he didn't lose more time than that. He did a pretty good job of blending back in line and not losing a lot of time to the drivers in front of him. So he's still line of stern with them. Jake Johansen putting pressure back, and another slowdown for the 40 car. He's got to stay within track limits here, Finian, if he wants to have a good result here.
Yeah, ran too wide on the exit of the double right-hander. We're talking about the corner exit, just making sure that you stay on the track. And again, just another slowdown going to cost him more time and more track.
Yeah, it's so frustrating as a driver because you don't feel like you really have a lot of control over it. You do, it just doesn't feel like it. Look at these front 3 though. Look at Crum reeling in these front 2, Finian.
And the entire top 4 is broken away by quite a bit. Back from Christian Nose to Brian Sohn, it's almost a 5-second gap. So Christian Nose not too terribly out there. You see him just coming into the picture as the all 4 of them go down the front straightaway down to turn 1.
Into Tamburello again as Hefner leads the way, using a lot of curb on the inside of turns 1 and 2. And in behind you see Brian Sohn feeling the pressure from Robert Rattray now.
They're trying to get in behind. Also in behind, Johansen and Buchanan in a fight. You see Buchanan trying to get all over the back of the 06, maybe force him to make a mistake, but just trying to get back the spots he lost.
And again, you have to be so precise not to run wide. There's a couple places here where they let you get away with it, but the exit of the double right-hander in the middle sector is not where you can get away with it, and Buchanan's learned that very quickly. As you see Jake Johansen run wide at corner exit at Tossa, and he'll have a run up the hill to the inside. He's going to have overlap here if he wants to complete this pass. He has slight overlap. Now he's going to tuck back in line. He's still going to go up the inside lane. Nicely done. That's a tricky place to get it past him, but Buchanan's done it.
Yeah, did a great job setting up in the hairpin before forced Johansen to go wide and was able to make the move. So well done for Buchanan. We'll take the spot now, go and set his sights on Rattray up ahead.
You see him keep the car extra tight as he exits the corner to avoid that penalty again. Meanwhile, Hefner continues to lead Robert Rattray and Brian Sohn. I think Sohn had to pull over and give some time up right in front of Buchanan. No! And Buchanan has to straight line the chicane and go through the center of the racetrack, and he's going to have to give up a ton of time now. That's a frustrating way. He's going to come to a stop here. That is so frustrating, Finian.
Yeah, I'm trying to look. He just completely missed his braking.
I think it was because Brian Sohn was slowing down. Right here. Oh, yeah, he did kind of miss the break point, didn't he? I mean, I think Sohn was giving up a lot of time. I thought maybe he had kind of stopped on the racetrack and maybe Buchanan go to the left, but either way, I think, that's... Yeah,
I think that distracted him for a split second, and that was enough for him to miss the marker to brake, and he seemed to just run wide of the track. Let's just pull it off for now. Unfortunate for Buchanan.
Back up to the front, 3-horse fight at Imola. 7.5 minutes to go. We're halfway through this race. As we focus on the race leaders, Kundinger putting all sorts of pressure on Hefner. Crum just sitting in behind, maybe to let these two fight it out.
Yeah, and honestly for him, might as well just wait for these drivers to make a mistake. But again, I mean, a little bigger picture as far as the championship is concerned, he needs to finish ahead of Hefner. I am curious on how much he's worried about that at this point.
Front three still nose to tail like this, but Robert Rattray feeling pressure from Jake Johansen. He's got Eric Mickey in behind him and Brian Sohn in front of him. So Sohn got back around Rattray somewhere. Maybe in the first sector, we didn't see what happened there, but Eric Mickey, kind of a slow start. Would have expected him to pick up more spots than just 2 so far, but he is closing in on this group.
He's done a really great job to catch back up, but I am quite surprised still that he started as far back as he did back in 10th. Expecting to see him inside, the top 5, if not around 7th place, but he's been trying to make some work up to the front.
Well, he didn't get enough qualifying laps to really let the tires come up to temperature. He only got 1 flyer, and I think that's what's contributed to him starting back so deep, but it might work out here again. If he just finishes this race out, he'll be starting 3rd in the race number 2, so maybe that's the plan for now. Behind him, there's Brian Chabelski and Drew Lidke, a couple teammates sort of working together here. They will be the front row drivers if they stay where they are.
Yeah, that's especially the goal, Matt Travolta for Lidke too. We were talking about him before we went away to look at something else, that he has not been as good as he has been earlier in the season. As we look at Hefner and Kundinger start to duke it out as they get a little bit closer.
Into Villeneuve again for the 6th time. Next time by should be 3 laps to go. A little bit wide for Kundinger. Drags the tires off in the dirt. Fair game there. But checking back in with Brian Sohn because it's a hornet's nest back here. Johansen up the inside for Villeneuve. Can't run through there side by side. Johansen had to back out. Try that again. Eric Mickey going to reel them both in here.
Yeah, well, here comes into the run to Tossa here on the outside. Going to make a dive. And going to try to also pinch Johansen to the apex so he can get a good run. Is able to get it done, although he gets a little bit squirrely on the turf.
Yeah, that corner is so tight that it actually might be beneficial to run a bit of a wider line. If you stay too tight to the inside, you're just killing your momentum up the uphill straightaway. And you kind of need to carry some speed in. These GT3 cars are not slow, but they don't have an infinite torque, and they do struggle a little bit to get up the hill at full pace. So it helps to kind of carry some more momentum into that corner. Up in the front, Hefner and Kundinger still nose to tail. Brian Sohn, Eric Mickey, the next closest battle. A 10.5 as they head towards Variante Alta this time.
Yeah, looking off the back of Sohn there for a second down into the chicane. Single file line for these drivers. Looks like Johnson got a bit of a poor exit, going to fall off a little bit further back from Mickey.
Surprised that we haven't seen Kundinger take a swipe at Hefner yet, Finian. Do you think he's got the pace, or is he just out of it right now?
I was just about to say the same thing. Yeah, I am kind of surprised. We've seen him get close on a few occasions to Hefner here as we look at Chabelski, Lidke, and also Morelli in that battle for 9th place. But yeah, I am a bit surprised that Kundinger has not made a move.
4.5 minutes to go. Here's Morelli in the slipstream. We're actually losing a little bit of ground. I'm not sure if he just got a bad run off or if he's leaving a gap to draft back up to the teammates. Here comes Lidke to the inside. Going to be a 3-horse fight into Tamburello this time. And Morelli backs out slightly early, trying to figure out which line is going to go. Neither of them do. It's a roadblock down in turn 1.
Great job for them to sort themselves out. You typically see a lot of incidents down into turn 1 with guys making moves, but they were somehow able to sort themselves back out. Ooh, Mickey, looks like he's giving up time potentially.
Yeah, might have had a cut down in Tamburello, so pushes Jake Johansen a little bit wide, so has to give Brian Sohn the spot back as we go back to the race lead. Kundinger just hounding Hefner. I mean, this is one of those situations here, Finney, where it's kind of frustrating to be in Kundinger's position because you're close enough to keep the pressure on, but you're not close enough to really seriously threaten Hefner, and that's going to make, Hefner's not going to do anything silly here. I don't see him making a big mistake at this point, as Brian Sohn has had a bit of an issue, and he's going to drop back behind Johansen and Mickey. That's a slowdown there. Let's go back and see if we can...
Yeah.
It wasn't a slowdown. He just slipped big time.
Yeah, just completely missed the corner. Here you see the run up through the straightaway. I think just got in the brakes too late.
Yeah, and just stepped out. Did a good job collecting it. That's why there's concrete out there to help you hang on to the car. But he's going to drop down more spots, now down to 11th.
Yeah, Morelli just got past him to get into that 10th place spot. So Morelli now looking to take pole if he remains there for the next 2 laps.
Meanwhile, the race leaders coming on through to start lap number 8 of approximately 9. The headlights flashing on Kundinger's car. He's feeling a little frustrated now. He's right there, but not close enough to make a move.
Yeah, I am curious really if this is by design or not, if he's just been sitting here patiently for these last 2 laps to potentially make a move. If not, he definitely needs to start going now if he wants to have a shot at winning this race. He's so close to doing so.
I'm not sure that there's really an advantage to staying in second here. I think he's going to have to get around. I mean, he'll, take advantage of the invert, but only by a position. I don't really see that being a workable strategy. Maybe he's more concerned about the 87 car behind him here, Finian, and doesn't want to let him get into the fight. And if those two battle, Crum will be able to take advantage of it.
Yeah, I am a bit surprised again because Kundinger's position, he's not looking like he might gain really any points unless over Royan now that he's going to have to sacrifice this as his drop race. I mean, he might as well go for the win. I don't really see why not. I mean, worst case scenario, if you make a little bit of a mistake, you fall back into third because Christian Knows is 5 seconds behind this leading group.
Into the braking zone again for Variante Alta. And you can kind of tell, you see that was a really aggressive jump. You can kind of tell he's giving it all right here, Finney, because of how aggressively he took that chicane. That's a corner where you can really gain time depending on how hard you drive into it. And if you're leading the race and you don't feel the pressure, you're not going to be as risky through there. But we did see Kundinger take a big chunk of curb. Tells me he's still trying to get there. This time by will be white flag for the race leaders.
Yeah, I'm curious if we can try to get a decent run down to Tamarella here as they go across the straightaway back to the line. White flag in the air for these drivers for race number 1.
One more time around here as they begin the final lap. Kundinger way late on the brakes, right to the rear bumper of Hefner through Tamburello.
That compromises entry by quite a bit here, just trying to get that car slowed down. You see the gap that Hefner's pulled on Kundinger. They actually got a lap car just up the head of them.
And that is Alois Lamprek in the number 27, so he might be a factor here. His last lap time was over 2 minutes long, which is about 15 seconds off the pace. That could factor in here. Crum left behind as they come through Tossa for the final time. And that lap car will be a factor here, so Kundinger now sees that out the windshield and knows that he's got to pounce or push Hefner into a mistake.
Yeah, and now, especially that now that Crum's fallen out of the battle, now it's his time to strike. He doesn't have to worry about the third place machine. Really aggressive on corner exit using the turf. It's very slippery out there. Now the run down to the double apex right-hander. Hefner leads the way, but lap traffic ahead as they head towards Variante Alta. We'll see if the lap traffic gives way or not. Oh boy, doesn't look like they will. It doesn't look like he is as they go into the chicane. Variante Alta
for
the final
right
time
in the
in this race.
Oh, for the race lead. Oh, he turns him.
Oh!
And just bowls the lap traffic out of the way. I can't blame him for that. Race lead is under attack from Carter Kundinger. 2 corners left as they head down the hill.
Yeah, and Kundinger was not really able to take advantage of that at all. He had to get on the brakes final 2 corners here.
Gonna have to set him up. He's got a pretty good run through the penultimate corner. Now the run back to the checkered flag. Race number 1 at Imola, checkered flag in the air, Zach Hefner. In a wild finish, had to bowl through a lap car to get it done, but he'll win race number 1. Kundinger 2nd, Kurt Crum in 3rd. Ost 4th, Robert Rattray will come back in 5th. Meanwhile, for 6th, Eric Mickey and Jake Johansen, they round the final corner.
And Johansen not able to get on Eric Mickey. Mickey with a solid climb forward up from 10th to 6th place for the 88 car.
And Brian Chbelski 8th, Drew Lidke 9th. Nicholas Morelli will be our pole sitter for race number 2 as they come to the line.
Solid job by him for Brian Stone. Was so close to getting that spot, wasn't able to get past in time.
Wow, dramatic run to the checkers there. Let's have a look here at our race results before we jump ahead to race number 2. And there is your race winner, Zach Hefner, a best lap of a 1:43.1. No lead changes there. He led from start to finish. Really impressive. We'll see if he can do it again. But this time he's going to have to start from 10th spot.
Yeah, and we've seen him do it in the past, so I think this is going to be par for the course for the 51 car. Though we have seen passing me pretty difficult here for the most part. There's not a whole lot of movement. I think really Eric Mickey was, one of the biggest movers of the race. If not, also Isaac Snyder back from 21st to 14th. So interesting seeing how the guys getting put back in 10th, however, they're able to fair move themselves up. And even then looking at race 2, I think that's going to be really interesting. I don't think we might see our typical leaders up the front like Hefner, Kundinger be up at the front in race 3.
We'll see how it goes here as the rest of the field comes across the start-finish line. And we're just waiting on, I think, Steve Bunting and Thomas Cooper to come back around. A couple DNFs that race. Zach Buchanan and, of course, Jeff Arroyan did not start situation for him there. So Buchanan had a frustrating end to this, but now he's going to have to fight from the back of the pack. Should be fun to at least watch him do this now.
Yeah, absolutely. As we take over to the next session for race number 2.
Another quick look at our weather here. 78 degrees ambient. Track surface has cooled down slightly. But it's going to be hot and slick. We saw not a lot of single car incidents. It looked like Brian Sohn had gotten really close to losing the car, but he didn't. Did a nice job hanging on to it. Not a lot of time to warm up your tires here either. A pretty short pace lap. So Nicholas Morelli will be your pole sitter for race number 2.
And Lidke going to start alongside him in that first row.
Up, and then Brian Chabelski, Jake Johansen, Eric Mickey, the rest of your top 5. Then Rattray, Ost, Crum, Kundinger, Hefner, your top 10. Then Sohn, Andrew Mickey, Johnny Bell, Isaac Snyder, Jim Benson, the rest of your top 15. So we'll head down as the pace lap is about to be underway here for the second race of the evening. And it looks like Zach Buchanan will start and grid from the very back of the pack. This is going to be a fun race to watch with Buchanan charging from the rear.
Yeah, absolutely, and that is a car that has some pace. I mean, we saw him fighting for 5th, 6th position. Unfortunately, got a little bit too ambitious with the off tracks, and then also that mistake heading to Variante Alta that cost him a run in the race. So we'll see how he fares this time. I'm sure he's learned his lessons, and we'll see how that carries into this race.
Coming out of the final corner, I should say, as we prepare for green flag racing for race number 2. Another 15 minutes on the board. Morelli, Lidke, Chabelski, Johansen, and Eric Mickey, your top 5. Pace car pulls off. Now the run down to the green flag as we wait. 62 miles an hour for the race leader now, and acceleration zone. Green flag flies racing in SCRS Ferrari Challenge, race number 2 from Imola.
Everyone's still double file heading down to Tamarillo. Guys trying to sort themselves out to side by side, heading through here. Very tricky here as Christian Ost gets hot on the brakes. Kurt Crum catches some grass as well, gets sideways, but is able to save it.
Really dicey moments as they head through Tamarillo for the first time. They're Sohn, and to the outside, that's Andrew Mickey. That got tight for a second. How about Kundinger on the inside of Kurt Crum as they head down into Villeneuve?
Yeah, and Kurt Crum trying to give him as little space as possible.
Oh, they're going to touch.
It's going to touch wheel-to-wheel contact here heading into the hairpin.
Brian Sohn's gone around in the background. Meanwhile, we watch this battle for Kundinger and Kurt Crum. He's through the 87. Look at the power slide by Hefner trying to get the power down to corner exit. Look at this out of toss-up. Big mess in the background.
Yeah, everyone vying for positions here. Speaking of which, Buchanan already up a few spots from the start.
Yeah, up about 5 spots in half a lap. Nice drive forward for him so far. Morelli continues to lead the way in the 714 attrition car up the hill for the first time. Saw a couple penalties at corner exit here. So far, everyone's behaving as the second pack led by, I believe that's that would be Johnny Bell in the 72 as they head towards Variante Alta.
Yeah, so Christian was trying to make a move on Robert Rattray, wasn't able to get it done. See if you guys track out wide.
Coming down to the final corner for the first time, Morelli still leads the way. This has been a really impressive start for this attrition racing team driver, and if he can stay out front and win this race, that would certainly be a statement with only a week left next week as he runs a little bit wide in the final corner. That's going to leave Drew Lidke with the run on him down the front straight.
And that's what we were talking about before in the pre-race. You can't afford to give up time on the exit because this is such a long straightaway. You can see Lidke already building up a massive run. He's going to have a look here down into turn 1.
Alois Longprecht has had another issue in the number 27 into the braking zone. Morelli leads the way. Look at Jake Johansen putting all kinds of pressure on the back of Drew Lidke as they head through turns 2 and 3. A bit of a bobble for the race leader. Here comes Lidke to driver's left.
Yeah, Morelli sent it too hard into the corner. Here comes Johansen trying to look up the inside. Almost 3 wide into Villeneuve. That's not going to work.
He thought about it.
They backed out.
Yeah, he backed out. Oh, leader's off again. Morelli's in the gravel trap. Johansen goes through. Lidke goes through the lead. Johansen to second. Brian Chabelski, Eric Mickey, and more all swamping. Look at this mess as they head through Tossa.
Yeah, you can see the cascading effect from the leader Morelli making a mistake that bunched everyone back up together.
Great battles for the race lead. Lidke out in front. Behind them, there was Rattray taking a look at Morelli. Behind them still, Kundinger way outside of Kurt Crum.
Yeah, this is going to get dicey here side by side through the double right-hander. Looks like Kundinger's going to win. Nope, Crum going to still try to force it on the outside. Has to yield a spot to Kundinger.
Yeah, door slammed there on exit with the track limit, kind of the limiting factor there for those drivers. Lidke leads the way to Variante Alta. There is Christian Oost. Had a look at Rattray, unable to complete that pass now as they head down towards the final sector again. Whoa, a little wide goes the 16 of Pagula. Oh, they're going to take Mickey with them. And through goes Jim Benson in the number 13. And Buchanan has a look at Ben Shout. Oh, that's really tight on the outside.
Oh, and Shout going to knock him a little bit wide in the corner.
Engine has
put Buchanan up quite a bit.
Couldn't get the car downshifted. It bogged big time there. Now he's going to get a great run out of the final corner. He'll probably have that pass completed by the time they get to turn one. Speaking of turn one, how about this? Side by side for the race lead. Lidke on left, Johansen on right in the black car. Into the braking zone for Tamburello. Nicely tucked in line does Johansen. Eric Mickey sizes him up though from third.
Yeah, Mickey was able to get the pass done on Chabelski for third. You can see this mess right behind them. Rattray, Oost, Kundinger. There you see Kurt Crum make a move to the inside. Going to almost go 3 wide again into Villeneuve.
Oh, this ain't going to work this time. Oost had to yield to Kurt Crum. He's on through. Going to be a touch there. They're both going to spin. Does he save it? No, the points leader spun around. Robert Rattray to the inside of the 2-car of Kundinger now.
Yeah, Hefner was actually able to get on by unscathed. He just slammed on the brakes to avoid it. There you see up ahead again, side by side for second place.
Great battles here all over the racetrack. Kurt Crum has regained composure back in 16th place. Johansen on the back tailpipes of Eric Mickey. Into the braking zone, uphill.
And for Mickey, he's moved up 2 spots on this lap alone, so really solid move for the 88. He might be in a really solid shot to win this race if he can just get around Drew Lidke.
Variante Alta, nicely done here. No dramas that time through. Front 5 or 6 have really broken away. Robert Rattray has Kundinger all over his rear tailpipes as they head down the hill again. But our front 4, this is a really impressive drive for Eric Mickey in the 88 car. To get through all that without a touch on the car, not a scratch on it, putting pressure on Lidke for the race lead.
Mickey got a really solid run out of the final corner. He's going to be stuck in the tailpipes of Lidke as you look at Oost and Hefner now.
Oh, he turns him!
Contact.
And Oost slams the pit road attenuator. That's race over for Christian Oost.
For the lead, side by side, down at Tamburello.
And Mickey is on through. Nicely done.
Yeah, really solid move. He's been driving exceptionally well, Mickey in the 88. Going to take the lead. How long can he hold on to it, though? That's going to be the big question.
I want to go back and take a look at the incident between Christian Oost and I think it was it Hefner that he was battling? As they came out of the final corner here, what was the contact? What was the issue?
Does Oost come a little bit too wide? They're fine here.
It's just 2 guys that was a little bit tight, maybe. But there was space there, so I'm sure there'll be a big disagreement over that later in the night. But so far, Eric Mickey leads the way.
Yeah, it's starting to expand that gap now by 0.6 of a second over Lidke. Just going to try to build up on that gap.
And now it's 8 minutes left in this race. You're really just trying to focus on not making any mistakes or running wide as Brian Sohn spins. And he was having trouble with this corner earlier. I wonder if it's for the same reason. Yep, just unstable.
Yeah, the second time he's had trouble. Yeah, and this time he went around, so not a particularly good race for Brian Sohn.
And Pagula's gone around. Gravel trap for the number 16.
And he's going to pull back onto pit road, see what happened here. Oh, it was way offline.
Yeah, he just tried to brake on the turf, and that is never going to work. So he had his own problems there, and it will reset back to pit lane as Mickey comes on through. Less than 8 minutes to go now in race number 1 of the night. Or excuse me, race 2. Brian Chabelski has a train of 3 behind him. Morelli, the pole sitter, Rattray, Kundinger, all behind him as they head into the braking zone for turn number 1.
So Morelli pulls out wide. That's going to stack up Rattray and Kundinger in behind. And Kundinger now trying to get past Rattray. You're going to try to build up a run to Villeneuve.
It'd be a really good points night for Kundinger if he can just grab a couple more spots in race 2 up the inside. Way late on Rattray, but he gets the pass done. Rattray goes back to the inside. Can't complete it. That was amazing by Kundinger.
Yeah, that was an amazing dive. I didn't think he was going to dive. I thought he was just going to back out like we normally see him do, but just absolutely sent it to the inside.
Oh, backing out there, Lidke Now feeling pressure from Jake Johansen in the 0-6 behind, another late season ad. But ever since he's been here, he's been competitive along with Justin Johansen.
Yeah, look, he hit the curve that slowed him up mid-corner. Johansen going to try to capitalize here down into the double right-hander.
Now up the hill again.
Everyone respecting the track limits now.
Well, they certainly make you do it when they take all your time away when you cut it. So there's no fudge in that. You got to stay on track or you'll get yourself a penalty. So I see that second group led by Shamelski actually catching those race leaders. Look at Buchanan, by the way. He started 21st. Here he is battling Isaac Snyder for 9th.
His battle starting to develop for them. Kundinger up ahead to the inside of Morelli into the double left-hander. Try to get him here on exit. Morelli going to slide out wide on exit. Kundinger is going to pick up the spot easily. Take away 5th.
Rattray to the outside. Door slams shut. We'll move back to driver's right down the front straightaway. 6 minutes to go. About 4 laps worth of racing.
Uh-oh, are we going to go 3 wide through here? Looks like they're trying to, as Morelli tries to look up the middle. It's not going to work. Rattray going to send a big dive to the inside, or the outside.
Oh, he spins! And he's going to collect Morelli, send him into the gravel trap. That's at the exit of turn number 1. That's a lot of damage, as Buchanan's going to say, yep, I'll take that, and move himself up into 8th.
Oh, man.
Have a look here. There was no way that this was going to work out.
Yeah, just dove in too deep, was trying to get back over to the left here to try to avoid those rumble curbs and end up dooring Morelli into the tire barriers.
A big hit there for Morelli. Back up to the race lead. Eric Mickey stretching his lead now and taking advantage of it. Again, qualifying in race 1 didn't go the way he wanted. He's taking advantage of his good starting spot for race number 2. But if he wins this race, he'll have to start 20th in the 3rd and final race of the night.
Yeah, absolutely. You see everyone else here work through the double right-handers here. Next time by, it will be 3 laps to go for our leaders.
Oh, I hear a spinner. It's Robert Rattray. He's off way out wide. That's going to be a big cut track as well. And Buchanan will take that spot additionally. So what happened to Rattray? Just got out in the grass.
Yeah.
That's a frustrating way to go out.
Riding on board here, you see, he's going to try to hit the curb, misses the apex here, tracks it too wide into the grass, can't slow down there. Did a great job not spinning out the car, but it's going to cost him a lot of time.
Imola really doesn't mess around with their track limits enforcement. They do it the old-fashioned way around plenty of this track with grass. So you jump your wheels off there, you're going to crash, and that's what they've done. There's Drew Lidke and Jake Johansen still fighting for 2nd place. 3 laps to go for the race leaders as they come across the start-finish line. Johansen was 0.02 of a second quicker last time by.
I am quite surprised that Johansen's not been able to find a way around Lidke. I would have thought that he would have gotten around the 21 and already been trying to pry at the 88, but Lidke's been putting up a really solid fight to keep that 2nd place spot.
Well, he just ran his best lap of the race, so something tells me now is the time to go. Through Villeneuve now, back to driver's right. A really good run through there, but had to kill it because he was about to run into the back of Drew Lidke. Robert Rattray has hit pit lane, as has Nicholas Morelli, as the leaders head through toss-up.
Looks like they might be calling it a race, I would imagine, or either serving, going over the incident limit we're talking about. That's very easy to pick up incidents here.
Yeah, it's a lot like Spa in that you can run wide and very easily. There's a lot of places to do it. The problem is, unlike Spa, they are enforced very heavily. And of course, there's also an incident limit in each race as well that's enforced with a drive-through penalty, which it looks like Morelli has come down and served. So he is in and out. Front 3 altogether. Kundinger not too far back. He was as quick as the leaders last time by, as at the Variante Alta. 2 laps ago when they come back around. Buchanan's gone wide.
Oh, no. And after having such a good run, he was up as high as 6th before this happened.
And he's going to lose a bunch of spots here. He'll get to try again to pass them all over. He's going to keep Johnny Bell on driver's left into Variante Alta. Nice defensive work. Get back online and pick up where he left off. Let's have a look at how he found himself there.
Yeah, you see me chucks it in just a little bit too wide and tries to overcorrect, and around he went.
Yeah, just
it's a very
such a slight touch of the grass. Here's a look in slow motion. Look how little of his car, just the left rear tire, and that's all it took. Look at him try to correct it, but just along for the ride.
Yeah, it didn't help that the car was already sideways heading through there. It's a very difficult corner to try to set up, especially when you have a car that can slide around in the back like the Ferrari. Once it gets sideways, you're done for, as you saw with Buchanan.
Leaders through Villeneuve for the 8th time. Lidke and Johansen still nicely nestled in second and third. No other battles to speak of at the moment. Going to stay focused on P2.
Johansen getting really close. I think this is the closest he's been to Lidke this entire run, and so far out of the hairpin, going to try to get a run down the straightaway.
I hear lap traffic up the road in front of Eric Mickey. Yes, there is. It looks like it might be.
Oh, no. Luis.
Oh, it's Alois in the Alois Lamprecht in the 27, who was in the way, quite frankly, in race number 1, and he got alerted to that very obviously by the front bumper of Zach Hefner. He was not about to wait around and give him the benefit of the doubt there.
Oh, and I don't think they're going to catch him in the same corner, but Mickey's definitely closing in on the 27 car.
And they're going to have to pass them. We still have about a lap and a half left to go. Mickey through Variante Alta, second and third, still tight together. Mickey's going to have the luxury of a little bit of time to do and dispose of this lap car. And they're coming up on a good part of the racetrack here, Finney. If Mickey can get by on the front straight, that'll be handy for him. If the other two catch the lapper down in Tamburello, that's going to be a very awkward encounter.
Yeah, we'll see here. It looks like Mickey's going to be able to get a good enough run. Yeah, he's going to be able to pass on the straightaway. Going to get around the 27. And what about Lidke and Johansen? This is going to be the big question mark.
Well, they should be on him, and you know, if he learned from last race, he'll lift before he gets to turn 1. Basically, you can't be in the way here. You're just going to get yourself roughed up, and again, he's going to move over to the driver's left, and through go the race leaders. Yes, blue flags are not mandatory, Finian, but you're kind of asking yourself to get punted if you're in the way on the last lap.
Yeah, he was absolutely asking for it. Oh, no, and he gets it to Kundinger.
Oh.
No. Oh, no.
Not an impressive first race for Alois Lamprecht as we watch the battle for second. Let's have a look here. Racecraft has not been the strong suit of the 27 car tonight. New driver here, Finian. Your only goal is really to not make a splash with everybody, and that looks like what he's done.
Yeah, and he was just kind of in the way. I think Kundinger thought he was going to pick a side because he was really off the pace through this section.
Yeah, you can't be that slow and expect to get raced cleanly there, so... he's going to have to pick up again. I hate to be hard on him for his first race here, Finian, but you just got to have more common sense than that, racing these front runners here on the white flag.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, they're not going to lift their own battles, especially for Kundinger, who's trying to catch back up to Johansen. Speaking of which, trying to work on Lidke here. He's only got a few more opportunities.
Into Variante Alta for the first time. Eric Mickey, all he's got to do is not make a mistake. Look at Johansen right to the rear bumper of Drew Lidke. Lidke's going to run a little bit wide, so does Johansen, but I don't think he's close enough to make a move just yet.
No, he's got to hope that I think really his last chances for Lidke to make a mistake coming onto the straightaway, and Johansen can try to play to that. Let's see how they work through here.
Into the braking zone for the final corner. Johansen right there. He's going to have to set him up. A great run through the final corner, but he had the check up. He timed it just a little bit wrong, Finney, and that's going to do it. Checkered flag for Eric Mickey. He'll come across the line and win race number 2. Lidke and Johansen only by a couple tenths of a second. Great battle there, and had he timed it just a little bit better, he would have won at least second place.
Yeah, and I was going to say, but Lidke, props to him, he just parked the bus through the corner there, and Johansen couldn't do anything with it. And looking back as we look at...
Isaac Snyder and Buchanan, that's 8th and 9th for them.
And a solid finish for those drivers inside the top 10. Speaking of which, Johnny Bell will round out your top 10.
Winner's not Zach Hefner. It's Eric Mickey. Still working on a couple of different things regarding that. Let's see if the upside ticker is going to do it right. Nope. Heat racing is very finicky. I'll just say that.
Yeah, I know. I can imagine.
So we saw it. It was Eric Mickey that won the race. Johansen in third behind Carter Kundinger. Go ahead, Phil.
I was going to say, I'm sure Hefner would have loved to win this race. Unfortunately for him, finished back in 6th.
I misspoke there, by the way. It wasn't Kundinger that was second. It was Johansen in second behind Eric Mickey. And who was the other car that was up there? Trying to remember. Why it's nice to have a results sheet.
Mickey, Lidke, Johansen, Kundinger, Hefner, Shabelski. Those are your top 6. So.
Okay. All right, checkered flag for race number 2 is out. And we're going to wait for race number 3 to begin here. But we're going to have about a 10-minute break, so we're going to step away. You can join us again at about 10 o'clock Eastern for race number 3. We'll be right back. SCRS Ferrari Challenge round number 13 comes to a close after one final race this evening at Imola. Welcome back to Sim TV and SCRS Ferrari Challenge. This is our third and final race of the night at Autodromo Enzo Ferrari in Imola, Italy. So we've seen two really impressive races so far. Race 2 especially had lots of action. We've also seen lap traffic kind of have a factor in there as well, Finian, especially towards the back of the field. So race number 3, it's a 20-minute race. Has anything changed, or are we going to see more of the same?
I think for the most part, we're going to see more of the same. We might see a little bit more carnage here, especially considering the guys in the back. They're going to have, while they have that extra 5 minutes, this being a 20-minute race to get to the front, we have seen passing be a little bit harder than usual. So I think it's going to be a little bit tough for these guys to work from the back to the front. I think they'll get a solid top 10, if anything else. But to get that win, I think is going to be tricky. You might see another different winner from the two we had earlier in the night.
Looking down from high above this Italian circuit, this place is, I wouldn't say that we usually come here. This is a track that we come to very rarely. I don't think it races quite as well as people think it does, but tonight it's been really competitive. I've especially seen that middle sector be the challenging one. The left-hand complex down into the double right-hander. That complex has caught a lot of people off guard.
Yeah, absolutely, and again, it's a really tricky section to set up for in a car that, when you're trying to shift momentum, the Ferrari especially is really prone to sliding around quite a bit on the back end. I think that's in particular been catching a lot of people off guard. I'll have to see if anything changes. We saw the track temp a little bit cooler than it was in race 1. We'll see that helps these guys out as far as grip's concerned.
Warm-up is complete. Race 3 gridding is underway. Here's a look at your starting lineup on the left-hand side of the screen. Ost will be the pole sitter for this one, then Lamprecht in the 27. He's been struggling a little bit tonight, Finny. A first race here tonight, kind of been in the way more than not, but he'll have Mickey, Cooper, Rattray, the rest of the top 5. I'm
not going to lie, I don't put people on blast like this, but I think him being up in the front is going to be interesting, to say the least. His pace seems to be quite a bit off compared to a lot of the other drivers, so him starting on that first row is going to potentially lead to a lot of carnage. You'll have to see how this start goes.
Well, again, it's, you never like to, as you mentioned, you never like to, quote, put people on blast, like you said, but at the same time, the one goal is just to not be in the way in your first race in the series, and that's hasn't quite been accomplished tonight.
Yeah, it looks like actually that the 27, along with Christian Ost, Thomas Cooper, and Eric Mickey Roll given EOLs. Wasn't able to get a hold of why that is?
Well, the 27 has not yet yielded that EOL. And now it looks like he will, so could be penalties for contact earlier. But through goes the rest of the field. There's Zach Buchanan. He had a troublesome start to the night in race number 1, but kind of recovered for a top 10 result in race 2 as we come out of the final corner. And looks like our pole sitter will now be, I believe, Andrew Mickey in the 86 alongside the 333. I think that's Isaac Snyder. No, it's, excuse me. Steve Bunting, thank you. As we come to the green flag, race number 3 in SCRS Ferrari Challenge at Imola. Round number 13. Look at Buchanan up the middle. That's going to get really dicey as they head down into turn number 1.
Yeah, already door-to-door with Jim Benson down into Tamburello here for the first time.
Oh, there goes the 66. Ben shot way off course behind him. Hefner in the middle, 3 wide. There's Brian Stone on driver's left. That's the 87 to Crum on the outside. They're going to get a run way wide out. 4 tires on the turf. Tucks back in line. Now the run down to Villeneuve for the first time through. Mickey out front. Then look at Zach Buchanan up the inside of Bunting. He's on throw. Gets tagged. He spins.
A big wreck out of Villeneuve, taking out 5-7 cars. And it's a mess of Ferraris. Jim
Benson's in it, Bunting's in it, Brian Sona's also spun around. That was a mess. We haven't seen something like that in SCRS Ferrari Challenge in a while. And Buchanan gonna call it a night there. That is so frustrating, Vinian, to start up towards the front, have a good run going. He had just cleared Bunting and just turned in, and it wasn't quite all the way clear, but I think at that point you'd expect Bunting to have the nose completely out of that corner, but obviously that wasn't the case. So they have contact there as we head up the hill for the first time.
Yeah, it really was unfortunate. It was pretty much clear, but Bunting got him in the rear. As you look at Andrew Mickey looking to take him a win here. He's got Robert Rattray to hold off, as well as Morelli, Crum, and Hefner closing in from behind. Now Hefner started in 16th, already up in the 5th.
Hefner doing a good job here, but look at Andrew Mickey leading this race. He's got a pro driver behind him. That's Robert Rattray. Look at how much more Rattray closes in the braking zone into the final corner complex. In behind, Brian Schmelski leads Jake Johansen, Johnny Bell, Drew Lidke, Eric Mickey, and Christian Ost, who's putting all kinds of pressure on the 88. Again, they started at the rear of the field after getting EOLs, and they're going to come back forward very quickly, I imagine.
Yeah, absolutely, but up in the front, Rattray with a big run on Mickey here, and might be enough to send a dive in. We'll see. Mickey gonna look like he's gonna go defensive. Rattray not gonna make a dive.
Whoa, there he goes. Mickey overslowed big time, and Rattray's just gonna make that look easy. Meanwhile, behind him, there's Drew Lidke to the inside of Johnny Bell. That's a pass for 9th place. Has it complete. Christian Ost flashing the lights at Eric Mickey, and Johnny Bell pushes wide, pushes Mickey wide, and Christian Ost tried to get power down, but slipped on the curb.
He's going to have to back off a little bit as you see Mickey ahead trying to make a move on Bell, not able to by Villeneuve.
Into Tossa now for the second time. Real tight.
And Ost almost getting into the back of Eric Mickey, but is going to... Oh, he gets in the grass, almost gets the car sideways, able to save it.
Morelli, Crum, Hefner, 3, 4, 5 as they head down the hill. And it's Rattray, Mickey, Morelli, Crum, Hefner, the rest of your top 5. Carter Kundinger in 6th. A good start for him. Started back in 17th.
Yeah, he's moved the order quite well. He's got Hefner right up ahead of him. And speaking of up ahead, Kurt Crum trying to make him to the inside. Same thing with Andrew Mickey into Variante Alta.
Look at Morelli. Wow, he held on great there, but Crum still had overlap and was able to drive up the outside. A big stack up with Hefner and Kundinger in behind as they head down to the final complex. Very, very tight. 4 cars together as they come down into the final complex. Whoa. Morelli, a little bit of a touch there with Kurt Crum.
Gets pushed out wide, almost in the grass. He's able to still keep it on the asphalt. Here you see Hefner trying to poke his nose to the outside. Damage on that machine, but not affecting him as Kundinger now going to get a run to the inside, or now going to be at least side by side with Hefner. Going to have to pull back in behind.
Yeah, to drop back in. Needs to get a bit of a slipstream to be able to complete this pass. Behind him, Kundinger really charging on the 51 car. 2 drivers right. He'll take a look. Will Hefner give him the space? No! Looks like Kundinger's to swing back to the left. You see the Mickey and Crum side by side. Oh, and there's a touch.
3 wide through Tamburello. Wow. I'm amazed that we saw all those cars make it out of there alive. And Hefner going to gain 3 spots like that.
That was well done by Hefner. Well calculated move there. In behind, you see Jake Johansen in the 06. Brian Schmelski. Drew Lidke, all nose to tail. Eric Mickey now on the driver's right into Tossa. Around the outside. Again, I like that position. I like that you can carry speed on corner X, and he will do that and get a run on Lidke on the outside.
Yeah, it was a little bit sideways in the rear, but still able to keep that car planted. Going to be drag race down into the next corner. Still on the outside is Eric Mickey. Going to work that outside into the turf.
Gotta be careful. That is a slowdown out there if you go too wide there, Finian, and looks like Mickey didn't get it, but he's able to go on through into 9th.
Ahead for our leaders. Rattray still leading over Kurt Crum, and then Hefner up in 3rd place, trying to chase down Kurt Crum.
I'm watching Brian Schmelski because he's got Eric Mickey coming in behind him, and we know that Schmelski has had some really solid runs and a couple race wins in the past, and now with Eric Mickey, the pro driver pressure on him as they come down into the final complex. He's going to have to go defensive here. Meanwhile, speaking of defensive, Hefner's going to have to get that way to keep Kurt Crum in behind his number 51 Ferrari.
And right behind them, you see Kundinger all over the back of Morelli here down the front straightaway as well, close enough to make a move on the 714.
In the braking zone for turn number 1. Gonna lunge down the inside. He'll have overlap as Morelli turns in. Morelli defends. He's done a very nice job defensively driving tonight, Finney. Hasn't been in the way, but just has been driving his line and not giving up, and he's been doing an excellent job of that tonight.
Yeah, again, really good racecraft out of him, to especially down to turn 1. It's a very hard corner to defend and also just keep off on the driver's seat. Kundinger take the spot as he gets some grass as well.
There's a replay of Eric Mickey. He had just gotten by Brian Schmelski, overshot turn number 1, had to run through the gravel trap and gave up some time, so that's big issues for Eric Mickey in the number 88 car.
Back side by side with Morelli and Kundinger. The battle not over yet. Now it finally gets done as Morelli pulls in behind. Oh, up ahead of Rattray. Or sorry, no, not Rattray. Hefner.
Oh, he's in the fence.
The barriers as he gets wide in the corner.
That was a big move. Was he on the outside of the 87? Was there a touch here, maybe?
By himself. It was by himself.
You've seen a couple drivers get loose there, but just too much curb and then just had to correct. That was a long slide through the gravel. So Hefner back to 7th place now. He's going to regret that particular maneuver. Kundinger now has Morelli in behind him. Robert Rattray trying to set sail and keep Kurt Krum in the mirrors.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting to see if he can do exactly that here, as we got just over 13 minutes remaining in the race.
In behind, there's Hefner. Behind Jake Johansen and Andrew Mickey. Andrew Mickey's also done a good job defensively driving. Sits in 5th place right now with the bombshell number 86.
Ooh, Johansen peeling off to the left. He's going to have to give up some time, potentially. Not sure where he got the cut.
I can probably tell you right here.
It was the exit, yeah.
Watch him apex this corner. Right there. You can't go 4 tires below the white line, and he has done that. Will pick himself up a time penalty. We'll have to drop back a few spots. Lidke and Ost, these guys 8th and 9th. Remember, Ost had to drop to the tail of the field with an EOL, making good work of the field. Has worked his way back up inside the top 10.
Yeah, again, and just has been having really solid runs in that 157 machine as of late. We sound like a stuck record every single week, but it's been a really good performance out of him. And if he keeps this up going to next season, he's a really solid threat for the Pro-Am Championship.
Eric Mickey back to 10th around Brian Shavelski, the driver he was in the process of passing when he ran wide into Tamburello a couple laps ago. Up front, no challenges for Robert Rattray just yet. 12 minutes to go in this 20-minute race. Kurt Krum in 2nd, Kundinger 3rd, Morelli and then Andrew Mickey in 4th and 5th. Closest battle on the racetrack right now looks to be Andrew Mickey and Zach Hefner.
Okay, so Hefner again just trying to make up spots from what happened to him earlier, that big mistake. Is Mickey going to try to defend? Whoa, take quite a bit of curving.
About as much as you can take. Ooh, that's a little wide for Hefner. Some damage on the right front of that car. He's had some issues tonight. Has a look to drivers left as they head down into the final complex. Mickey on the right, Hefner on the left. Dive up the inside for the 51. Has a little bit of overlap. Should be able to complete this pass here.
It's going to be a little bit tight for him. Ooh, took a lot of curb.
Johansen with a run now on Mickey.
Yeah, I was going to say, it looks like he's able to avoid that penalty, and Jake Johansen now with a big run of Mickey and going to try to get the draft off of Hefner as well.
Side by side for 6th spot behind Zach Hefner. And it looks like he's actually held up slightly. Maybe the damage on that 51 holding him up. Mickey tries to go around the outside. There's going to be a slight touch there, but Johansen has to come to almost a complete stop to avoid continuing that incident, and he'll tuck back in line. Nicely done. It was... actually, I think he saved Mickey more than himself there, as now he's under attack from Lidke and Ost.
Back up to our leaders, or as we actually look back at the 333 of Snyder, is with Benton, battle for 12th place.
And Benson and the 333, 12th, 13th, and Johnny Bell not too far back in 14th.
He's trailing one another through here. What I was saying is back up for the lead. Kurt Krum is closing in. Last lap through, he made up 0.6 of a second. And you can see he's already right there as he comes into picture. So he's closing quite a bit on this lap as well.
The run down to Variante Alta for the 6th time. This time through will be about halfway. 10 minutes left in this race as Kurt Krum made up 0.3 of a second in Variante Alta alone. A strong run for Kurt Krum. He can capitalize on Hefner being stuck back in 5th.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is now, I think he's going to wait in behind Rattray. Best thing for him is to wait for the straightaway. Use the draft to your advantage. You can see here trying to set up a run down that straightaway and to get a draft off of the 33.
Using all the slipstream here. It's not quite as effective as you want it to be in these GT3 cars, but behind them, Drew Lidke, Christian Ost, Eric Mickey, 3 cars all going for 8th spot, side by side, down the front straightaway.
You see both those guys on the right getting very close to the wall on the front straightaway here. You see Mickey also boxed in between Lidke and Christian Ost. Nowhere for him to go.
Into turn number 1. Ost is going to send it down into the corner on the brakes. He'll clear Mickey. As we go back up to the lead because Rattray is feeling the pressure from Kurt Krum through Villeneuve and towards Tossa again.
Whoa. And Kurt Krum took quite a bit of grass, almost spun the car around into Tossa. Gotta get a decent run off the corner.
So close. With 8.5 minutes to go, Kurt Krum has plenty of time. Don't rush it, don't push it, you're faster. I wouldn't throw it away right here.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's got a decent gap to Carter Kundinger in behind, so he can play around a little bit with Rattray.
A little bit of understeer there through the middle of the corner. He gets an exit oversteer and allows him to hang on. Trouble in the background. Drew Lidke in the 21 is gone for a spin. Let's see how this happened. He just got too much curb on the inside and spun it around. We've seen that happen a couple times tonight.
Yeah, this is another corner that's been quite a bit of trouble. This entire section here, this corner and the next two, the double right-hander has been claiming quite a few cars.
Rattray, Krum, still 3/10 separating them through the final two corners, but Krum is closing so much in the braking zones, and that's such a hard thing to overcome as the lead driver because you're just trying to lean as much as you already can on the brakes. You're playing with the ABS, just trying to find something comfortable. But I don't know if Rattray has a lot, this is something that you learn over time and how to threshold brake effectively. And I'm not sure that it's something you can learn on the fly to improve. I mean, if Crum's beating you on the brakes, that's difficult. If he's beating you on corner exit, at least you know what to do. You can adjust your line. Can't do that really on the braking.
Yeah, you can always try to brake later too, but you run the risk of going off the track if you brake too late. As we look at Johansen and Andrew Mickey fight for 6th place.
Andrew Mickey done, again, an amazing job defensively driving. We know that's kind of a skill he's had for several seasons, but he retains it this time around in front of Jake Johansen. Behind Eric Mickey has gotten around Christian Oates. That's for 8th place. Isaac Snyder, Jim Benson have sorted it out for 11th spot. We go back to the race lead.
This battle getting ever and ever closer, pretty much as close as it is. I mean, I'm surprised that Kurt Krum hasn't gotten around Rattray yet. Ooh, Rattray going to go really wide, get some turf. It's not going to be enough, though, for Kurt Krum to make a move.
Into the double apex right-hander, now up the hill. Watch the track limits. They're playing with every inch of them. Kundinger is in behind, running too slow to really be a factor. These front two, I believe, as long as they don't have an incident, well, one of these drivers will be your race winner. Variante Alta now for the 8th time. Nice line through Rattray, and that's actually, it seems like where he's gaining some of his time back is through Variante Alta, and he's taking advantage of it right now.
Yeah, absolutely. He does need to start to find a way around Rattray here as the laps start to wind down here. As they're coming to 4 laps to go next time by.
Krum so calculated and so careful. It's a change from earlier in the season when he would get there and then just throw the car up the inside, and regardless of what happened, he would take it and run. Got himself a couple penalties, a couple warnings, but it seems like we're seeing a different Kurt Krum later in the season. He's being a bit more careful and calculated, and I think that's what he's doing right now, is he's taking his time and waiting for the opportunity to reach him and not the other way around. Into turn number 1, takes a look on Robert Rattray just to make him glance in the mirror.
Yeah, and I think he was trying to get Rattray to over brake and slow down, mess up the corner. That didn't happen. He got a great run out of Tamburello here into Villeneuve. Tries to have a look.
Here he goes.
He's going to go side by side.
And had to back out. I'm not sure that was a serious attempt at a pass. It's so difficult. Jake Johansen and Eric Mickey have had a collision at the exit of Tamburello.
Oh, no. Oh, and up ahead, though, for the lead, though, into Tossa side by side with the 33 and Kurt Krum.
Side by side for the race lead. Johansen and Mickey have collided in the background. They're still trying to get back rolling. Into the left-hander now. Krum on the inside. Rattray on the outside. Krum working his way through. Almost clear of Rattray. Can Rattray keep the nose in there? Not quite. Kurt Krum to the race lead.
A great pass by Kurt Krum, and it did help him. I think that going side by side in Villeneuve helped set the move into Tossa. He was able to get to the inside and take the spot away.
Let's go find out what happened to Eric Mickey in the 88 car as they came down into the first corner sequence, and we're going to catch this a little bit late, I fear, so let's go back a little bit farther. Here's a look as they came down into turn number 1. They were following Andrew Mickey. I wonder if there was a stack up here. Oh, it looks like, Johansen slammed on the brakes, and there was just an accordion effect there. A miscalculation by Eric Mickey. That's going to leave them crashed out.
Yeah, for Hefner, he's just gotten past Morelli through the final 2 corners. He moves himself up into 4th place. So, decent recovery, all things considered, for the 51 car.
From Rattray, still separated by less than 1/10 of a second as they exit the corner. Lap traffic ahead. This time it looks like is that Thomas Cooper in the 584. Certainly looks like it as they head into Villeneuve. Lap traffic has been a major factor in the race wins tonight.
Yeah, I think for Cooper, I don't think they'll have too much trouble with him. We'll see if he moves over. Now onto the straightaway here. Cooper's still ahead of the leaders.
And the lap traffic tonight has not really done a great job of getting out of the way. We're going to see if that rings true here as well. The 584 slow to track out right in front of the race leader. Crum has to find a way around. He's going to go to driver's right. Rattray can use this if he can get by very quickly. Oh, this is going to hurt Rattray big time. Oh, he's going to spin.
Whoa.
And go right back in front and collect Carter Kundinger.
Oh, Kundinger up and over into the wall. A violent crash for the two. Kundinger was having such a good run in the top three.
I don't know what it is with lap traffic tonight, Finney, but they have just been unable to stay out of their own way tonight. I frankly don't understand it. They're not racing for position, and it's just inexcusable to be crashing and being in the way this slow. And they have to stop doing that because it's affecting the race results and the championship points.
Yeah, it really is unfortunate. Especially the key thing, too, is the fact that they're not, you could argue that if they're battling for position, you don't have to, but if you're by yourself,
right.
you might as well.
Totally different scenario if they're battling for position. I'm saying if you're by yourself, there's no reason. It's a 20-minute race. You're not going to get strategy on a pit stop. It's game over. Move out of the way, and that it's just decent common sense. If there's a race lead behind you, to get out of the way. And to his credit, the 584, he at least stayed left. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough to prevent him from spinning and collecting a podium driver. It's just such a shame, and I really do hope that we see this change at least for the final round of the season.
Yeah, we'll see if there are any changes made, but looking at Kurt Crum here trying to expand his lead over Robert Rattray. For Hefner, that crash actually benefited himself. He's going to get up into third place and more than likely than not going to maintain a podium.
And Morelli did a good job in this race in the 714. He started on pole started up on pole in race number 2 and had a decent result there. Started 7th in this race. And has a pretty good run inside the top 5. Andrew Mickey as well back in 6th. Kind of a high attrition rate, though. We've lost about 6 cars in this third and final race of the night. Up at the front, no challenging here. We're going to be coming to the white flag this time. Kurt Crum in the lead right now in the number 87 Bombshell Racing Team car. Robert Rattray has led some laps tonight, another one of the pro category drivers. Not quite able to take full advantage of the race lead and drive away, but a second would still be a good result for him.
Yeah, absolutely. And this has run a really solid race too. Not many, if any, mistakes for the 33. Fortunately for him, Kurt Crum was just a little bit faster.
Final lap for Kurt Crum. He'll come across the start-finish line. White flag is going to wave at Imola. Brian Sohn in the number 03. The Penguin RC Simulations car has Drew Lidke behind him. This is for 8th.
These guys going to be coming to the white flag this time. By here, you see Lidke pull off to the inside of the double left-hander here.
Sohn will give way. I think he's going to let Lidke on by. And I feel like he might think that he doesn't have quite enough pace to keep up with him, or he just wants to complete it so he can have the draft down the straightaway.
That's exactly what I think he was trying to go for. And we'll see if he actually pulls out alongside. Now going to pull back in behind Lidke here. Actually, looks like he's not trying to pass.
Maybe trying to keep the 21 guessing into the braking zone, but can't brake any later than Lidke. This is the apex of turn 1 just slightly. But up at the front, Kurt Crum in the 87 had yet to find victory lane tonight. And in the championship battle, Finney, and it's been pretty tight between Crum and Hefner. Where do they stand as Crum works on the last half of the lap?
Well, coming into this round, Kurt Crum was 39 points in behind Hefner, and that's with the first set of drop races included. After tonight, we got a little bit of a better understanding, but still, I think the advantage has definitely gone to Hefner, who's finished ahead of Crum in the earlier races of tonight. So for Crum, it's starting to look less and less like he's got a chance at the title, but still looking at a solid second place in the points.
Well, again, it all comes down to Road America next week at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. What happens there is yet to be seen, but tonight, Kurt Crum put on a clinic there at the end. A nice, clean battle with he and Robert Rattray. Tracks out, final corner, bit of a gravel trap, no big deal. Kurt Crum might not be a championship this season. It's still looking slim, but he'll come across line. He wins at Imola in the final race of the evening. Rattray, a hard-fought battle into second. Zach Hefner continues to hold the championship lead in third. Morelli, fourth. Christian Ost battled back from an EOL to finish inside the top 5. Well done. They are deeper in the field. Here's Drew Lidke and Brian Sohn. This is for 8th.
Yeah, and Sone's got one more chance. If he can try to get a better run than Lidke, he's actually going to go a little bit wide, going to choke his exit off the final corner. So Lidke going to take home P8 for Brian Stone, P9, and Johnny Bell will round out your top 10.
Not by much. Eric Mickey comes back in 11th place. After rebounding from that earlier issue down in turn number 1, he comes back in 11th. Well, there it is, folks. Imola, the home of Ferrari. What a night that was. We had a little bit of everything. Now let's see if my results graphic is going to show the right driver. Yay, there it goes. Right? Kurt Crum, yes. Lead changes. Yes. 2 lead changes. Crum, Rattray, Hefner, Morelli, Ost, your top 5. Pretty solid run for Crum tonight. Again, I don't think it's going to really give him that much better of a chance at winning the championship in Road America, but certainly isn't going to hurt to finish up front. We'll jump to break. We'll be right back with your race winners. Stay with us. Welcome back live to Sim TV and SCRS Ferrari Challenge round number 13 from Imola. We're here now with our race 1 winner, Zach Hefner. Zach, it came down to the final lap. There was contact with a lapper on the white flag. That was a tense moment for you, but you brought it home in a race win and keep your championship hopes very much in sight as we head to Road America next week. A lot of drama out there tonight. Walk us through it.
Yeah, that first race, Carter and Kurt were really fast behind me, able to, keep that draft, and we were punching out laps. That blue flag traffic was not ideal, but it worked out, and I kind of kept it to the inside a little bit. I had no idea if he was going to keep it online or keep it inside, but I knew I could kind of move out wider if there was an issue, and I was able to do that. So yeah, that was the end of race 1. Very drama-filled, yes.
There were some other good battles throughout the field tonight, but we did see a lot of incidents with lap traffic, more than I remember seeing. Do you think it's this track that contributes to it? Is it more challenging than ones we typically visit, or is it some of the new faces in the field maybe that were struggling?
A little bit of both. It's a tough track. It's very fast. Not a lot of passing opportunities. A lot of corners you got to keep some speed through. So not a lot of good passing opportunities. So if blue flag traffic isn't really aware, and they're kind of heading into that turn, and they the speed differential's big, that can be an issue. So I think it's a little bit of both.
Hey, Zach, best of luck to you next week at Road America. I'm going to be missing that race for the SCCA's next series, but congratulations to you on your race win tonight, and we'll see you next week at Road America with Finian and whoever else ends up in the booth with him next week.
Awesome. Well, I hope to close it out.
All right, have a good night, Zach.
Thank you. See ya.
Now, Eric Mickey in the number 88 Bombshell Racing Team car. Eric, race number 2 went to you, but a lot of drama out there tonight. Take us through your evening.
For the most part, my evening was pretty straightforward. I struggled in qualifying, struggled in practice before then. Race 1 went better than I expected. Race 2, after a few laps, the car kind of just started driving well, and I was able to capitalize, get out front, and the fast guys weren't able to run me down and spoil the party like at Indianapolis. So, things just kind of worked out for me in that second race, and, that was a nice change of pace for me there. But So that was nice. But race 3 was all kinds of hectic from my point of view. So probably a lot to look at after tonight.
We look forward to Road America, the National Park of Speed, next week as our final race of the season. That is a very fast track, very point and shoot in comparison to this very flowing European circuit. Your thoughts on Road America as a racetrack and the site of the season finale for SCRS Ferrari Challenge?
I think it's one of the best racetracks the U.S. has to offer. And it's going to be an interesting and really good place, really, to end the season. There's a lot of places to make passes. These cars draft fairly well, so trying to get away from each other. I expect you'll probably get packs, small packs throughout the field of drivers who are struggling to get away from each other, and you just got to hope you're in the front one to have a shot at winning and wrap everything up there. And it's been a good season, so hoping next week can cap off on a high note for the league in general, and yeah, just keep moving on.
All right, Eric Miggy, race 2 winner. Good luck next week, Eric. We'll see you there. We have anybody else fitting in? I think we're pretty much out of people. So
yeah, I saw Carter Kundinger. He was in the waiting room. Looks like he's jumped off.
That's all right. We'll call it there. It's been a long night of action, but our closing thoughts on Imola. Ooh, that was a little messy tonight, Finian. From coming off of a couple weeks of pretty solid racing, there was some issues out there. I think we're going to get resolved before Road America next week, but I don't think we'll see lap traffic be really a factor next week with Road America being 4 miles long.
I mean, I really hope so, especially considering how long the track is. Again, we'll have to see how the season's going to end up. But really looking forward, speaking of Road America, just really looking forward to seeing how the racing works out there. You know, with the long straightaways, you can really build up a run. We can see a lot of guys deep on the brakes into several corners, making some interesting moves. I think a really good place to end the season.
All right, and again, next week I will not be in the booth for SCRS Ferrari Challenge. It will be Finian and someone else to be determined. We'll talk to you next week about that. But tomorrow night we got Washington, D.C. region action. That'll be from Road Atlanta GT3 in race 1. And we got the Earth-killing Jetta, the diesel, the vegans hate it. Go ahead.
That's what I want the class name to be, is Earth Killer.
Well, it's an evil car. Everybody hates it, but we're going to be racing it tomorrow at Road Atlanta. We'll see you there, and on Saturday again for the Milwaukee Mile with Outsider Racing League, and Sunday, GT Rivals Assetto Corsa Competizione from Mount Panorama at Bathurst. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next week for Road America, the season finale for SCRS Ferrari Challenge.